Hey guys. Wow! There.
So my name's Leo Albea, and sometimes people call me Luigi because that's the nickname I grew up with. I'm 25 years old, so I'm very young. I grew up in Oxnard, California, which is in Southern California, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
What was your family orientation like and your siblings? How many siblings do you have?
So I have three siblings, but technically four if you count my brother, but my brother didn't grow up with us. So I grew up in a household of three other sisters. Sorry, I was just checking if you can hear me. So three sisters, classic Filipino family. You know, we're very close. And I think my experiences with my family has defined a lot for me. I feel like the first half of my life was the kind of very classic familial expectations like, oh, you need to be a doctor. You need to, only do things that help you get into college. Like it was very much so that. And so we grew up in a very kind of competitive way, I guess, in some sense, like, grades were everything. So yeah, but I think I look back at how things are today and how close we are and how much we rely on each other. I think for anyone who knows me or my family, they know that my family is always on set with me. My family is usually the talent. Like if you see One Down's video today that was in partnership with McDonald's and the Sweetie Meal, it's literally my mom and then me, my ate, my sisters working on it. Like it really is a family effort. So yeah, I think my family defines so much of my identity and what I'm able to do.
Yeah, I could also confirm that the Alveas are a solid group of people. They hang out together and they support each other through a lot of the things that they do. So with that being said, do you think that you lived a typical childhood? I know that you said that your family orientation was super strong, but in terms of growing up and the way that you were raised, would you consider that a typical childhood?
I would consider it a typical childhood. The only hard part is that, you have over 110 million Filipinos in the world, and there's so many different aspects to being Filipino and so many different experiences of being Filipino. So all of that considered, I would even call myself privileged in some sense. And I'm super grateful that my family, my dad immigrated to America so that we're able to live this life. So in some sense, yeah, we're very classic Filipino, but on a larger sense, we're privileged to live the life that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So growing up, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Leo's also very influenced by music. He's a great dancer. But we'll get into that. So I was wondering a song that reminds you of your childhood and a memory connected to it.
Oh my goodness. So this is a weird one.
Okay.
The first one I can think of is the song "Up" by Shania Twain.
Okay.
So it's super random, but it reminds me a lot of my dad because I remember, we had this kind of like old gray van, like very soccer van style.
Yeah.
And I just remember my dad would listen to country music. And this was before we as kids started to form our own opinions of music.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember after we started forming our own opinion, we always wanted to listen to 11 FM 1110, AM 1110 because that's the Disney. That was like Disney radio.
Yeah.
And so we started listening to Disney radio, but before that, it was always country music. Like I'm not particularly a country music fan, but I love all music.
Right.
Hayati Tessa. And so Up, that song, I think really brings us memories. Like I just remember listening to it. And I hadn't heard about Shania Twain in so long. And then all of a sudden on TikTok, everyone's starting, like you see some of these like Shania Twain trends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, that's my girl growing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, that kind of sparks a really distinct memory of us growing up. And yeah.
Nice. I love that. We're going to get into live questions. And then I think that a lot of people, and myself included, are really interested in, your journey. in your journey of finding, your passion and the route that took. So, um, what has been the best age that you've lived so far, and why?
Oh my God. That's so hard. The hard part about that is I feel like every age, I guess after college, really defined a new moment for me. So actually, I would say 25. So obviously, I'm 25 now,
Mhm.
and there's been
Ooh.
I've worked so hard for a very small amount of years, considering that I'm so young, and I'm finally starting to see all the things that I was nervous about growing up, or didn't believe I could do growing up, or didn't see people like myself who looked like me doing. And I'm finally starting to see that those could be possible for me, as a 25-year-old, and more importantly, as a Filipino. Thank you, Jay. And
Yeah.
so it's been so impactful to see that these things are possible, that these opportunities are out there, and that they are grabbable for us.
Mhm.
And so I think that's why me as a 25-year-old, I'm starting to kind of reap those opportunities for myself that I've been trying so hard for so many years.
Right.
So I think that 25 is a good year for me,
Yeah.
but hopefully it just keeps getting better.
Would you have expected yourself to be in the place that you are right now?
So yes and no. The
Okay.
the yes part is that nothing is guaranteed. So, you can go into all these things and you never know if it's ever going to work out. Like that's how life is. That's how media and entertainment is. That's how this industry is. You never actually know what's going to happen or if it's going to work out for you. So to that extent, no, I did not know that I'd be able to have these roles or these opportunities.
Right.
But at the exact same time, I'm banking on it. I'm putting kind of these bold risks. I'm putting these decisions and this commitment towards creating this. So while there is a lot of doubt that surrounds what we're able to do, I think there's also optimism that you have to have in order to take these opportunities.
To imagine yourself doing, like, I don't know, just playing a really big role in the media that it is today, or do you, was your mind on a different career field when you were younger?
So I always wanted to be a director.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm not yet to where I've always envisioned myself in terms of directing, but the role that I play today is really unique. Like, I'm a Filipino American, but I lead certain brands that exist within the Philippines,
Yeah.
for certain things. And so I never would have imagined, and I don't think the world could have imagined, that something like this would be possible, something remote, something that is kind of transcontinental, something that is interconnected across cultures, across the diaspora. So technically speaking, I don't think this could have, we could have never imagined a world like this where we're able to connect from so different of places. So to that extent, no, I didn't expect it.
Your inspiration for directing when you were younger, was there like a goal that you wanted to get out of it, or you just thought that it was fun?
Oh man. So if I really go back to why it all began,
Yeah.
because we get so impacted by who we grew up with and who were our friends.
Yeah.
And when I was in sixth grade,
Okay.
all of my friends had good internet. So it sounds dumb, but they could watch YouTube videos and they could upload videos. But when I was in sixth grade, my family still had dial up. So I couldn't, my internet wasn't good enough for me to watch YouTube videos, and definitely not good enough for me to upload any videos. Thank you,
Thank
Bones.
you.
And so because of that, all of my friends were like getting into YouTube. These were the Happy Slip days, the Kev
Yeah.
Jumba days,
Yes.
Ryan Higa.
Yeah.
So everyone was posting on YouTube, but I couldn't do it because, I didn't have good internet.
Right.
And then I remember I missed that train. And when they all stopped doing YouTube, that's when we finally got better internet. I was like, okay, I kind of want to do this. This was at the start of high school. So in high school, I started to do videos that carried on into college. And then, by accident, I kind of just became a filmmaker. I didn't go to film school. I have no technical background in terms of film, but I'm here. I'm doing the dang thing.
Yeah.
And so it really had to do with, I remember growing up, all my friends got to YouTube and I never got to.
Nice. I love that. That's a great, inspiration. I think that coming from a place like that kind of motivates you to want to do it more. 'Cause it's like, dang, like I didn't have it then, but I want to have it now. So I love that answer. What is something that happened in your life that nobody would believe if you told
Oh man. Uh, shoot. She sent me these questions, by the way. I just I wanted to be candid. What is something that
them? Tessa, what is that? Do you have an answer?
yeah, can I get an assist? I can't think of anything.
So
Um
swaggy, what's up?
I guess okay, so I guess the best thing that I can tell you, but this is actually like the story that I do tell, but it's a bit crazy. So the way I got my first ever music video, this is how I became a director.
Yes.
Is I'm going to give you the TLDR, but basically the director was on tour with Taylor Swift, and so he wasn't able to make a certain meeting. Can you hear me still?
Mhm.
Yeah, so he wasn't able to make a certain meeting because he's with Taylor Swift. And then I pitched this crazy music video concept, and the artist, who is pretty famous in the Philippines, or at least in Cebu, um, and her producer has songs with Eminem. He has a song coming out with Donnie Panganlinan. Sorry, I said that so bad. With Donnie, and so he's a known producer, and they were really impressed, and so they fired the director right on the spot and then hired me, even though I was just supposed to be a dancer in the music video. So I'll
I
thank
love
you.
that.
I'll thank you to perhaps Taylor Swift for taking away the prior director. It was really a fortunate situation for me to be there, and now here I am.
Okay, let's say you were to live your life again, but experience everything, like you can't change anything. Would you choose to live it
Hmm, man. Yeah, I like what Jason here said. Creative careers are almost always sparked in a serendipitous moment. Oops, my light died. How serendipity of it.
again?
Oops. No, honestly, and I feel like I feel I feel like when people look back at their lives, most times people say no because it's the decisions and all of the growth that has created who you are today. And if
Mhm,
it wasn't for those, you wouldn't be that same person. And
mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say about that is
Thank
um,
you.
maybe I'll switch the thing. If I were able to go back and give my younger self some different type of encouragement,
Mhm.
or what type of person I wish I had when I was younger. I think it really is the type of person that encourages creativity, and encourages the creative arts as something that is viable as a career. Because
Mhm.
I know growing up, one of the biggest things that I was constantly internalizing was that this is a hobby. This cannot be for you. There are no role models for you that exist. Um, and so I grew up like that. And would I change it? No, because I feel like that made me exactly who I am today. And it's why I created this platform called One Down,
Right.
where the next generation of Filipino creatives get to see themselves as the main protagonists, get to see their stories, and we get to celebrate them. And if you took that away from me from my childhood, the doubt and all the pessimism and all the ideas that this is impossible, thank you, Jay. Then One Down wouldn't be possible, and I wouldn't be on this platform. Same story with Kumu. How do we build community across different Filipinos around the world? That wouldn't be something that I would care about if it wasn't for all those doubts growing up.
Right.
So no, I wouldn't change anything. But if I could change something moving forward, I'd want to create a space and create a platform for people to feel that this is something that they can do.
I think it was you or your sister that asked my brother what he wanted to do when he grows up, right?
That was me because I was next to him.
Okay, and then my brother was like, "So my dad," and Tess and Leah went, "No, no, 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 no." They're like, "No, no, no, no. What do you want to do?" And so I don't. I think you guys were the first people to tell my brother, like, what do you want to do, not what's planned
Mm,
for you. And that kind of stuck with him, and he's been in this like dilemma ever since you guys have had a conversation, because he's like, Well, like they said that I don't have to do that. Like there are things that I can do that doesn't have to be like a typical route of what, is planned for us. And it's definitely sparked a fire in him in terms of chasing his goals and his aspirations. In terms of the way that my parents feel about that, I think because well also I look up to Leo a lot, and my parents have seen the work that I've accomplished, doing this. I think they kind of have trust in my brother and his aspirations and goals.
Me and Jess have a lot of things coming, your way in terms of different projects that we're working on very soon with large media brands. So I'm excited
Yeah.
for what we get to work on and how that kind of impacts the way people are able to see themselves as Filipinos or Filipinas.
Right. And I think that we both kind of had the same vision as to why, like our whys in the media. And it's really about, inspiring people like us that didn't have people to look up to, and kind of setting that standard that, it's not just a hobby, but it's something that you can do
Mm-hmm.
um, because you're passionate about it. If you could choose one moment in your life who shaped or that shaped who you are now, what would it be? It can be good or bad.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so here's the thing. There's so many moments that I'm like, dang, how the heck did this happen to me? And I feel like what people say is like, um, opportunity comes to those who work hard, or how do you get lucky, you get lucky the harder you work.
Okay.
And it's kind of this thing that happens because if you're working towards or you're committed towards your goal, you're going to be more likely to actually hit those goals.
Mhm.
um, and I feel like yeah, law of attraction. And I feel like since high school I've always just been trying to hustle and always trying to just outdo myself and try to do something greater. And I'm still hoping that I can continue down this track of doing greater things and more impactful things.
Mhm.
But what? Okay, so this is a random moment, but this is the first moment that I can think of.
Okay.
So I was in college and I joined a dance team. And this was the first moment in my entire life that I chose to do something because I was passionate about it. It wasn't because the college resume, I was already at UCLA. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
top public university. Go
Right.
Bruins. Um, so I was already there. And the next step is like, okay, we'll do everything for your career, your resume, for your career to come after for post grad.
Right.
Um, and so I remember I joined a dance team, and it was purely because I wanted to do it. It was something I never got to do growing up. My parents did not allow me to join the dance team in Oxnard, which has a really strong dance community.
Huh.
And so I joined the dance team.
Yeah.
And, I started from the very bottom. Within 3 years, I became the artistic director of the whole team. So that's about 50 people that I was directing,
Mhm.
because I worked so hard. I did so many classes. I taught myself how to dance through YouTube, went through so many different things. Um, and then I remember my junior year, because, you have to start to apply for internships. Wait,
Mhm.
what year are you right now?
In college?
Yeah.
Well, I just got my associates, but I'm going back to school, so I don't know what year that is. So
Okay.
junior, I guess.
Yeah. So when I was around your age, I was applying for all these internships, and there were all these media internships, and I applied the entire summer. I kept applying, and I got rejected to every single one. I didn't have the resume to do it. I didn't have the experience to do it. No one wanted to hire me, even just as an intern.
Yeah.
Um, and then I remember I was in this networking night, which, by the way, I do not like networking nights. They're great, but I'm an introvert. And so to put me in this room where I have to, thank you,
Thank
Sarah,
you, Sarah.
where I have to go out of my way and meet people and try to impress them, it's so hard for me to do that because I don't know what to say. I'm just really bad at that. And then, so the keynote speaker, her name is Natalie Kim, and she's 30 under 30. She was this crazy marketing executive. And of all the people that I talked to and all the people that talked to her, we actually spent the entire night, like a couple of hours, just talking and talking and talking. And that stood out to me because I told her, hey, I'm a dancer and no internship wants to hire me. Um, and should I just stop dancing and go full force on what my next career move would be? And she told me, no, your passion for dance is what makes you different. And if you lose that, you have no value proposition that you'll bring to these companies. You clearly love it. That's your value proposition. And so I stuck with that. I stayed dancing the next year. And I'll get back to that question, Alex. I stayed dancing, and dance is what led me to my first music video that hit 5 million views. And then that allowed me to get into my job at Blossom, which is the most viral publisher in the world. And then I kind of just worked my way up. So even for One Down, the first ever viral video that we had that was over 1 million views was a dance video that mixed hip hop and Filipino culture. Mm-hmm. And so, no, I don't dance anymore, or at least not as often as I wish I could. But dance, that choice, that one choice to do something just because I love it, no strings attached, not because of resume, not because of my career, just because I loved it. That led me to becoming a director. And that led me to everything that I have today, just because I chose to do something that I love. Not something that you would know, but that one decision to just do something that I was passionate about led me to everything I have.
You guys are in this predicament where, they have to choose passion over stability. I don't know. What's your take on picking between the two?
So I always go by this, it's not a motto, I guess it's like a saying, like yes and, like you can have both. And you can look at things from a different perspective. And so it's so interesting when we talk about Filipino careers in media and entertainment, people always tend to think that it's, hi Carly, tend to think that, oh, that's unstable. And they're often thinking just freelance film, which, by the way, can be stable. Yeah. But that's typically what people think. But, media and entertainment, anyone who's working in Kumu is kind of in media and entertainment in some sense, or also tech, or this emerging industry that's going to be the future. And one of the things that one of the people at the director of marketing and brand partnerships, Graz at One Down says, thank you, Carly. Because he works in media entertainment, but he's an account manager. So he works with clients. Mm-hmm. And most often when we think of media entertainment, we only think of the creative. Right. But there's so many other roles that exist within the industry that are very stable, that are very secure, that leads you to something. Mm-hmm. So I think, yeah, Carly's saying. So I think that is truly the beauty in it. And what I want to do in terms of One Down and having this platform is to open the conversation that there's more to these careers that we are able to fill. And I think it's something as beautiful as, like, even Isabel, like down in the comments, amazing fashion designer. Right. What does it mean for us as a platform, and even for Kumu, to bring her on and share her talents so that younger girls get to see this. And even a small thing, like my first job where I learned everything about virality and how to produce was with Blossom. And Blossom is a DIY and hack page. So everything from, I did videos about cooking, I did videos about baby showers, and these are videos that hit over 100 million views. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a clear market for these things, and you would have absolutely no idea. Mm-hmm. And so it's, people say like riches and niches, even though it's like niche, but it's like finding your niche, finding your community and creating value out of that. That really is kind of the new way that we should be able to look at it and find perspective.
To do, and again, like, you're one of the very few people who told me that you can do both. If it's something that you're passionate about, you can make it stable. Like, it could be a stable thing if you really just like work toward it. So,
Yeah. No, so actually one of the quotes that I always repeat that someone once said to me, I don't even know who he is. It's like a tito who is like a family friend of some Filipino party. And he was like, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a director. And then he said, oh, well, directors sleep in their cars, doctors sleep in mansions.
Yeah, it's things like that kind of discourage. What's up, user? Hi, squad. It's like, it's small. Like, they don't think that those words affect you, but see, you remember those, like
Yeah.
yeah, and it means a lot, even though they don't think that it does. But do you use those words to motivate you, or it's just something that, like, well, look what I'm doing,
Yeah, I feel like I think the fact that I always bring it up in conversation is that it really did have this impact on me.
Yeah.
Because like it's the same thing. Like, how do I react? What do I say to that? And I remember as a kid, I think I was just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." Because what could you do?
Mhm.
And then just waiting years to see if this to get your chance to see if this is possible. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was a defining moment for me.
Is there a mistake that you felt like you needed to make to become the person you are today?
Shoot, I feel like everything's a mistake.
Oh my
Hold on.
gosh.
Hold on. I'm trying to think of a. Because the thing is like when you're creating, you have to embrace the idea of failure. So one any member who works at One Down knows this best. And I'll give you an example. So in digital media,
Right.
the algorithms can change. When the algorithm changes, everything you know is over. And so, I was employed at the most viral page on Facebook, but Facebook had changed the algorithm in 2018 into 2019. So all of our videos, we're hitting 1 million views, but for us, 1 million views is low. If you get 2 million views, your video basically tanked. Um, and so we were seeing that all of our videos were not really doing as well anymore. And we had to embrace the idea that we had to try, we had to fail, and in failing, we'd learn.
Right.
And so it was actually me in February of 2019. I was the one who cracked the code on how the algorithm worked. And I knew it because you see things in patterns. My first video, and it had been almost 6 months. The last viral video we had was in October. I don't know if Leda on the table is here, but it was Erica. She
Okay.
made a viral video because we worked together.
Mhm.
And then there was no viral video for a really long time until February 2019. My natural remedies video went viral. And then my next one went viral. And then my next one went viral. And then my fourth one went viral. What I mean by viral is like over 100 million, over 200 million, over 300 million views. So this is super substantial.
Yeah.
And you had to have been okay with failing because there is no other route for us to learn and understand how the algorithm could work. And so even right now in my role with Kumu, like I have to be able to embrace failure because everything is still emerging. We're still learning how we do all these things. So that's what I mean by everything can be a mistake, but everything is also a learning moment. And
Yeah.
embracing the failure is what will allow us to grow.
When you go through the times that you were saying that you were getting like 1 million, and it's not what you were expecting, how do you not let that discourage you from making more videos?
Oh man, it's two things. So one, it's my job, so I don't have a choice. But the second thing that I always teach any of our One Down members or anyone who comes on my team is when you enter media and entertainment, you have to have a tough skin. You're going to look at the comments and people are going to hate what you do. You're going to see, people who do not agree with what you're doing. And even in One Down, a lot of people were so quick to tell me, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. But what we were creating at One Down hadn't existed yet. There wasn't a large Filipino American media company that was present on the internet. And so, that's the first thing. How do you, it's understanding your why, understanding what is the end goal that you want to get to, and then how do you get to that. So that's one of the first things that I always say, like, in this business you have to have tough skin, because no matter what you do, the more impactful you get, the harder it's going to be that people will clash with you. So yeah, that would be my thoughts.
Have you always had that mindset about, or have you always had like thick skin when it comes to, critiquing criticism? And if not,
No.
yeah, how do you develop that?
Well, my first video that I ever released on Blossom flopped. It got 2 million views. No, but that really is truly embarrassing. We Blossom has a very competitive nature, in the sense that we all know our views and we're all hoping for a viral video. So when you don't get that viral video, it hurts, and it's quite obvious because you can't lie about numbers. So I remember I was so excited. I thought this was going to be the most viral thing ever. It was a dance video and it flopped, and I was the star of it. So I was like, oh my gosh, it was me. That's why sometimes I don't go on camera. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the video absolutely flopped, and I remember being so discouraged. And remember, this is at the time when the algorithm changed, so everyone's video was flopping, but everyone's hoping to be the one to crack the code. And so I just remember like failing so many times until one day it finally worked. That's where I built my confidence. I never had confidence until 6 months into my job when I finally started to see results. So my advice to people is like, stick it through, like keep learning. Something will catch on one day. It really is just like the same idea. The harder you work, the more likely things will come. And I think Jason asked a question, how is it being in a numbers driven environment, pros/cons? I think it really depends on you. So many people go through this company and any company, and they're not going to like it. Media and entertainment is a fast paced industry, and it's just the reality. If you want to be competitive in the market, you have to be able to keep up. And if that's not something that's within your personality, that's also okay. But that's the reality that we live in, that numbers change, culture changes, trends change, algorithms change. And if it is within our goal and within our personality to be at the forefront of that change, then we need to change ourselves. And so to that extent, I thrived because I'm extremely competitive. I never took lunch breaks. I always was working. And I have this thing where the thing I need to work on how to life is that I need to learn how to life, not to work. All I do, I'm very much so a workaholic. All I do is work. And it doesn't help that like my company is American based, like One Down's American based, but then I work across Summit Media and Kumu. Carly knows, but Carly is also a workaholic. She's texting me at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the Philippines. I'm texting her at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in America. And that's just how we live. Yeah. So, and our office is 24 hours. So we're always here. Yeah.
I think there was another question. How do you build tougher skin being a passive person going into the media industry?
How do you build tougher skin being a passive person? I think it's like it's putting yourself out there and seeing yourself grow over time. So the idea that you can change with one decision is kind of crazy. We can't expect that of ourselves. So I always say, Jason says Rome wasn't built in a day. For me, I'm an introvert, and part of being a good filmmaker is that you have to network, and that it's very true that it is who you know, and that really sucks, especially for people who are really shy like me. And so I actually came up with this philosophy that, okay, if I'm introverted, that's totally fine. I accept that about myself. And so the mantra I kind of had was like, okay, well, I'm going to let my work show. I'm going to try to have my work so good that you can't ignore what I've created. And that's why I say it's a numbers game. If you have the numbers, it's undeniable who you need to work with.
Right.
In 2020, I created the most watched Facebook video in the world for the home and DIY category. And it's the most watched Facebook video in all of Blossom history. It's almost at 800 million views. Thanks. And so the work speaks for itself. I don't need to be the one networking. Again, I don't like networking, but I don't need to do that. And it took a lot of silent working. Like I didn't take lunch. I kept my head down. I just kept doing what I was doing. And each time I just got better and I kept developing thicker skin. So I think it really is like work in silence. If you see me on Instagram, I'm also very, like, I don't share a lot, about what I'm up to or what I'm doing. And I think half of it is I still feel like an imposter. I still feel like is this good enough? What will people think? Yeah. And yeah, my sister shares everything. I don't share anything. People never know. Thank you, Lex. People never know what I'm up to unless you're actually in meetings with me or talking to me. But if if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I almost rarely share something unless it's like a big activation. I'm like, oh, I actually need views. Like I'm going to share this with people, like the McDonald's ad. Watch it on One Down. But I think it's like there's still that partial imposter syndrome that I sometimes feel. And I think it's important for people to hear that I still feel that way, that I still feel like I don't know what the heck I'm doing, that I question if I'm doing the right choices, if I made the right decisions, or if people made the right decisions about me. I constantly feel that way. And I think it's so important for me to always just openly say that, even when I'm working with One Down, because I'm pretty confident in certain choices I make. But if I don't, I'm very upfront about it. Like, this is just my opinion, or I don't know if this is going to work. But you make the best choices in the situation.
If you could tell your teen or 20-year-old self anything, what would it be? Thanks for the follow.
But if I could tell my teen self something, I mean, I think I generally mentioned this, but I think it's just like, you could do it. You can do it. And I think something as simple as that, just the belief that one person is able to achieve the wildest things that they could ever imagine. Just unlocking that ability, I think, is so key to us, to myself, to you, to anyone watching, to the Filipino community. Just the ability for us to say you can, I think, is so impactful. And I think that's one of my favorite things that we get to do at One Down, is we just get to celebrate. Like, we get to celebrate the first Filipina trans woman to be represented on the Miss USA stage. We get to celebrate the first Filipino movie making it into mainstream. We get to celebrate, there's so many times when we get to celebrate Filipinos, and it feels so good to do that, and to see the see the reactions of people who have not grown up seeing this. I think that's the most impactful part of our work, and I think it's as simple as that. You can.
Yeah. You went to UCLA. What did you major in?
Oh, I majored in sociology. So I was first biochemistry. No, and then I was like, nope, bye. Uh, Biochemistry to be a doctor. I dropped that. And then I pursued so many different things. Like, I thought I would be environmental studies major. I tried business. I tried English. I tried but communications, I didn't get in. And so I ended up with sociology. And for so long, I felt like it was just my default, that was the easier thing to get into. And I always felt down about myself about just majoring in sociology. But sociology is the study of how society operates. What are the societal and cultural trends that make people move? And so the reason why I think, by accident, I was engaging in learning how people operate and how people think. It's the sister study of psychology.
Yeah.
So when you think of people who think like psychology, I'm thinking of how society as a whole moves in sociology. And so all that to say, everything that I apply in terms of when we're creating viral videos, I'm thinking from a sociological perspective. Why will people share this? Why does this move people? What are the very tiny details? And that's how you make a viral video. A viral video isn't in your crazy concept. It's in the details of how you build it. And all of that came from sociology.
Nice.
It's the same thing. It was like your brother. He was like, oh, my dad, blah, blah, blah. My parents wanted me to become a doctor. Well, my parents first wanted me to go into the Navy, and I was supposed to apply to the United States Naval Academy. That's where my brother went. My brother is also in the Navy. He's a captain, kind of high up there. And, I was like, that's not for me. So they're like, okay, that's fine. You don't have to go into the Navy, but you do have to go into the medical field. So that was my next option. So then that's actually why I entered into UCLA. I got lucky because UCLA not only has a good medical school, it also has a really good film school. And I live in the entertainment capital of the world. Right. So, good things happen to those who work for it. For one of my role models, in the past 2 years was actually Roland, the CEO of Kumu. I remember him kind of, encouraging me and seeing things in me that I didn't yet see in myself. And I remember all the different moments that he would just send me kind of words of encouragement, and how much that really impacted me and in my ability to navigate my own career was so impactful. So I would say him is one. I think there's so many people that I work with that inspire me in different ways. Like even my sister, like her passion and her veracity in what she does in Kumu is an inspiration. Even me and Alex, like we have these very deep conversations every week, and I discover more things about myself because of it, and conversations like this. And I think what I want in life is that I meet people and I discover new role models. And I think that really is the beauty of life and the beauty of Kumu, being able to discover people through this app, and find different ways of inspiration and different things about yourself. So, yeah, I think that's my answer.
So, based on your life experiences, what's one piece of advice that you can give me and all the 24 million people watching?
So I guess my piece of advice is, hold on, let me try to think. Man, there's already so many things that we talked about. I think at the end of the day, the one thing that I want people to really take away from anything that I do is that you're able to do that too. And it's the idea that the only person limiting any of it is yourself and how hard you're willing to work. And I think so, people dream a lot, and it's nice to dream. How far are you willing to work for those things that you say? And I think that is the second part that I think sometimes people might be missing. The first step for the Filipino community is like, you can dream, you can be that. Let's unlock the idea that you can do this. And then the second part is, how do your actions and your work and your commitment match everything that you want to do? And I think the other half that I'm trying to work on, to allow people, to empower people to be able to achieve these is, well, what is the resources? What is the access? Who are the role models that we can envision ourselves? And so that's what One Down is all about. It's about giving Filipinos first the idea that they can, and then the pathway for how they can. Because I think that's the one thing that is sometimes missing for us to be able to achieve.
The hardest part when it comes to chasing a passion and doing all of that, it's like starting or how to start that. But like you said, it's like that step of envisioning the person that you want to be and what they would do and how you can get there in small steps, and not necessarily like being that person tomorrow, but you feel the pressure to be the man of the family is what Marion is asking.
Yeah, I mean, so for context, my dad passed away about a year ago, and it's about to be 1 year in about a week. And yeah, I think one of the biggest cultural shocks is, how do I take care of my family? And I think I've done a very good job of that. Not just myself, but us being able to band together with each other. So I'm trying not to cry.
No, it's okay. You're okay.
Yeah, I mean, you see us, the world sees us, I think when you lose someone that is central to you, oh, sorry,
That's okay.
Marion, stop.
Okay.
We did our best. We're together. We're here. We're thriving. And it's all for him.
Since I've hung out with your family and seen how tight knit you guys are and how much you support each other, it encouraged me to want to get closer to my siblings and support them in all the things that they want to do, even though it's not the same as mine. And yeah, like you do inspire me in ways that, when it comes to career and passion, but also in ways that you support your family and the way that you guys work together. Your family orientation is really strong. I look up to you guys a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the questions that we have for Leo Albea today. Do you have anything to promote from the million projects that you're doing?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So this week, One Down just launched our Sweetie Meal video. So check out One Down on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. It's One Down and Kumu, and we basically turned my mom to Sweetie. The second episode is going to launch this Friday with Ruby Ibarra. She teaches her how to rap. What's today? Tuesday? No, today's Monday. Wait, what's today?
Today's Monday.
Oh yeah, sorry. Today's Monday, but on Wednesday, if you live in North America, Cheese Meets the Game Show is going to be happening at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And if you live in the Philippines, that's Thursday, 10 a.m. Philippine time. So check that out. Cheese Meets the Game Show, Sweetie Meal Edition. And then that night, One Down Showdown launches at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Tonight, don't miss Cheese Meets Live. And there's literally so many things happening. Oh, Kumu is going to be launching a new episode that they have never done before for a new series for QMK's 3-year, which is this week. So literally so many things happening. There's always going to be so many things happening. So just keep up. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at Leo Albea or Kumu or whatever it might be. But yeah,
Leo, I appreciate
thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you.